So I think this is going to be the final video on the garden for now. This was a much bigger project than we really had anticipated. This fence, just so many little details. The last few things that we've done here is, one, we've put up all these horizontal boards that bring it up to an 8-foot height along the entire perimeter of that fence, so the deer don't jump in there. We finally finished that. They're a little gnarly because I didn't have them stickered and they were sitting in a pile for a while, so they got kind of fungusy and stuff. The nuts are really bad right now. Jeez. We got hardware here, and so the fence can actually lock. We just picked up like a self-closing latch, I think they called it. It's just zinc coated. It's not going to last forever, but it's good for now. So it just opens up like this, and we got this door staying put with a little concrete pour that I did there, and then I got this little pin that goes into a hole that I just when I poured this concrete, I just put a stick down into the concrete to keep a void here so that I can put that pin down to keep the door closed. So this concrete pour kind of looks a little bit like a crappy sonotube. It's exactly what it is. Let me actually dig this up a little bit. I just did one 60-pound bag of like Quikrete. Okay. So to show you what I did here, all this is, I just took some cardboard. It's only maybe about 10 inches deep. And I just took some cardboard and made a circle and taped it up and just stuck that in a hole and then poured the concrete in that circle. And then just to make, since it's only 10 inches deep, just to secure it a little better, around the perimeter of the cardboard, when I poured the concrete, I just put some concrete around the perimeter too, and that's what you can see here. That'll just help lock this thing in place. It's not too heavy, so it wouldn't take much to kind of dig it out if I was hitting with the pickaxe, just to get it locked in a little better. So the other thing we did was put these aluminum sheet metal pieces as caps on top of the post. So the end grain of that post is exposed. And you'll see this on any deck, on any like post for a railing. They'll have like a little cap, usually like a wood cap at the top of the post, because that end grain is exposed, and when water sits on that end grain, it can get into the wood and then check and crack the wood up and rot it out really easily. So that's what we want to avoid that from happening. So we chose, I just thought it would be easy to do these, to buy a sheet of aluminum flashing and then just cut it up and fold it so it makes a cap. It took a little bit more time than I was expecting. I think it still took less time than making caps out of wood, but all it is just that, cut up in a pattern, then folded. I just used 2 pieces of wood as a metal brake to fold it. One piece, I put the one piece of wood down and then have my marks on the sheet metal, and then right where I want the fold to meet up with the edge of that piece, and then I would put another piece on top of it and hold that down and then fold the metal over and then push it with my finger to get a nice even bend. That's all that is. And then there's just galvanized roofing nails, 4 of them, holding that on to the post. I guess the other thing to note is just our garden did actually pretty good this year. You can see all of our bean plants. Those are bush beans to fix nitrogen in the soil. They produced really well. You can see some of the leaves here, they have this fungus on them and they're dying. Now early on in the when the plants were small, a lot of them had this. That's because we were watering with the hose, we found out. We're spraying the water, and I don't know where the fungus exactly came from originally, but when the water would splash off the leaves that have fungus on them onto another leaf from another plant, hey, look at this little grasshopper right here. He's just chilling. Woo! Go, go. Okay. It would spray off and then hit a leaf like this that doesn't have the fungus, but it does have some aphids. Look at that. And then it would spread over to here. So what actually ended up happening is we started watering, and instead of spraying it all over the plants, just started like putting the hose like kind of down the line near the roots, where the roots of the plants are, and mitigated a lot of that spray. And we've also had a lot of rain, and apparently the rain doesn't do it that bad either. There's not a lot of splashing going on apparently when it's raining, because the plants are much healthier. Lots of leaves without the fungus on them. So I think that was that. I'd love to know where that fungus comes from, but did pretty decent and started producing a lot more beans just from changing the way we were watering. But yeah, we just did a harvest and there's still tons of beans. on some of these plants, because like this guy, we've designated a few plants with posts to harvest the beans from for seed for next year. So what we're going to do, I just watched some YouTube videos that showed me how just to do that. You just let the plants, you just leave the beans on the plants, let them dry out. Takes, I guess, a month or two, and then once the pods are totally dried out and crispy, you can harvest them and just store the beans in a dry area for next year. So that's going to be exciting. We've never done anything like that before. Yeah, so they did really well. And then the rest of our garden, we planted basil really late. So we're basically in the fall now, and this basil is not going to grow much more. We just did a harvest and took a bunch of leaves off, so maybe we'll get a little more basil out of this little area. Our clover obviously went haywire and did totally awesome. We're about to till that into the soil. A single successful cilantro plant, which we will harvest this soon enough and make some guacamole and some other nice things out of that. Not a whole lot. It was a really good experiment first year just to test out the garden fence, and we're totally psyched to add a whole bunch of compost next spring and have a much more varied and bountiful crop. So just tilling this clover over. We don't want it going to seed. If it goes to seed next year, we're gonna have clover coming up all over the place. And as you know, this was just supposed to be a cover crop for this year to fix nitrogen in the soil. So I don't know much about this yet, but just trying out this type of hoe for the first time. It's got an opening which, you know, allows you to till the soil and pull up the roots without actually pulling too much dirt around. So just giving it a try for the first time. It seems to be working pretty good. And the plan here is just to, getting rid of rocks as we find them too. The plan here is just to till it over and leave it and let it decompose into the ground and into the soil, and hopefully that'll improve our soil for next year.